during the period in question, he was both vice-president and president. And definitely, he cannot say that he was not aware. Indeed, if he says he was not aware, let's see. Apart from that, there was a minister for defense. There was also an attenderer, and they were aware of the material facts. And I'm saying that in keeping with the tenet of accountability, probity, and integrity, they ought to freely open up to the people. It is quite ironical that the same person who is going for votes, campaigning for votes for the people, do not want to open up to the people on the Airbus scandal. That to me is unconscionable and ought not to happen.
The government lawyer also mentioned that Ghana is making substantial strides when it comes to dealing with corruption in the country.
Let's now listen to the Deputy Attorney General's interview on Joy FM, where he named former President Mahama as one of the government officials implicated in the Airbus bribery scandal.
26 countries, the UK, France, United States, as well as 23 other countries, including Ghana. And the government of Ghana had no role at all, so clearly it was unsolicited. It's something that was associated by events that occurred in the United Kingdom.
Okay.
That's the judgment of the Crown Court of England. And Ghana government owing that a responsibility as a duty to the people to take it up. I think that clearly is the best form of, or the best demonstration of the fight against corruption, the best demonstration of a commitment to uphold the rule of law. It's by President Jonathan Kwekufadu to have ordered investigations into the matter. And that is what he has done. I think that we must allow this process to go on.
Now, I said finally, though, but one quick one also just before we go, because in your earlier submission, you mentioned that the people or person is going around campaigning. I would want to find out specifically from you who you're referring to.
Oh, I'm referring to the vice president who transformed into a president and won and lost the first one election in 2012 and lost 2016 elections.
And his name is?
Campaigning to come back again in 2020. And I'm saying that if...
Are you referring to Mr. John Dramani Mahama?
Absolutely.
Now, former Deputy Information Minister in the John Mahama administration, Felix Kwacho Fosu, rubbished the claims. He insists the claims of wrongdoing on the part of the former government officials are unfounded in the first place.
His pronouncements constitute nothing more than diversionary propaganda, which must be promptly dismissed. This is nothing more than bluster and posturing from a government that is wallowing in abject corruption. And I'm quite disappointed at the line of questioning of your presenter. He should have asked the Deputy Attorney General what specific offense he was accusing supposed government officials in the previous administration of committing, where in that deferred prosecution agreement or the approved judgment, it's a specific case or allegation made against any specific Ghanaian official, for which reason anybody must come forward.
I mean, bribery comes up because it was part of the...
Who has been accused of bribery? Can you point out to me the exact portion of the approved judgment where any named Ghanaian official was accused of receiving a bribe?
A lot of references to the government official one, and he mentions that is John Dramani Mahama.
Evans, it would be irresponsible on your part and your media organization to channel the falsehood of the Deputy Attorney General and mention people's names and accuse them of bribery when there is no such claim in the deferred prosecution agreement or the approved judgment. That is why I asked you to read to me the specific lines where anybody that you are naming has been accused of bribery.
Moving on, Parliament's Joint Finance and Trade Committee is recommending that the House approves an amendment to the Customs Bill that will ban the importation of used vehicles that are more than 10 years old. The amendment will also ban the importation of salvaged vehicles. Government says the move is part of incentives being offered vehicle manufacturers under the Ghana Automotive Manufacturing Development Program. The bill has been read for a second time on the floor ahead of consideration and eventual passage. The minority, including Tamale Central MP Inusaf Husseini, is kicking against the amendment, insisting lots of people will lose their jobs if the ban comes into effect. But Trade Minister Alan Tremanting says it is part of efforts to make Ghana an industrial hub.
Mr. Speaker, the second aspect that came forcefully before the committee was that this bill says that within a certain period of time, we will prohibit totally the importation of certain categories of vehicles, second-hand vehicles. That's what the bill says. Mr. Speaker, there is a large body of Ghanaians whose business is second-hand vehicle dealing. A large body, Mr. Speaker. And they were represented at the joint committee meeting. Mr. Speaker, they raised the point, and I agree. They raised the point, and I agree with them, that this bill, this amendment bill, that is seeking to prohibit the importation of certain class of second-hand vehicles, does not offer second-hand vehicle dealers any protection. There is no protection at all. Mr. Speaker, why should a bill be seeking to create employment, at the same time seeking to throw people out of business?
So, Honorable, in discussing the principles of the bill.
That's the principle, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, I've not finished my sentence.
Mr. Speaker.
In discussing the principles of the bill.
Honorable Hussaini is seeking to convince this House that this amendment bill is not exhaustive enough and that we require a full-blown incentive and regulatory regime to support the development of the industry. I'd like to draw the attention of the honorable member to the fact that this amendment bill lies in the belly of a Ghana Automotive Development Policy and Program. The document on this policy is referenced in this committee's report. The entire policy document itself was before the committee, and the committee, in coming out with this report, made reference to this development policy. And it will be unfortunate to give the impression that this report only seeks to bring to the attention of this assembly an amendment bill which does not have any backing in terms of policy. And reference was also made earlier on to the fact that Cabinet has approved already the policy and program supporting the Ghana Automotive Development Project. And I stand to correction. My understanding is that unless there is a specific reference to a provision in the policy that requires amendment in terms of law, then we will not necessarily be discussing it here. Although, at an appropriate time, Right Honorable Speaker, I, at the invitation of this Honorable House, will be more than prepared to have a full-blown discussion on the policy, the content of the policy. So it would be wrong for us to suggest that this amendment bill has no reference to any other document. The report does not say so, and I want this to be recorded.
Meanwhile, Deputy Finance Minister Abna Osei-Asare says the move will create more jobs for Ghanaians in the long run.
What this bill seeks to do is to make it possible for these automobile industries that we want to set, companies that we want to encourage to come and set up in Ghana will enjoy some tax exemptions and waivers. And we believe that by amending the bill, it will enable us to do that. And we also believe that as it comes, it needs to create jobs for us, and also in the end, relatively, these vehicles will be cheaper for Ghanaians to own brand new vehicles too.
Very well. Now, Minister, the same report also indicates that for 3 years we'll be losing close to 800 billion. What do you have to say?
No, it is not that we will be losing, but there are exemptions that we are going to give to them. We are going to give them exemptions to the tune of 802 million and some change. But we believe that this will be partially offset by the vehicles that do not fall in this range, because people will still bring in vehicles. So we will still, charge import duties. But we are looking at the long term. In the long term, as these companies come to set up here, one, it will increase jobs for our nation, and also it will make cars relatively cheaper compared to cars that are imported. And so that is, yeah.
Some car dealerships are meanwhile objecting to the customs bill even before it moves to the consideration stage and to be passed into law. Apart from the adverse impact it could have on their businesses, the car dealers also make the point salvage vehicles and the ones considered overage are what majority of Ghanaians are able to purchase. They want government to reconsider the decision.
Certain things should be considered. If there is a car without a higher impact, like the airbags, it's not gone, it's intact, depending on the impact.
So you are talking about the accident vehicle?
The accident vehicles.
So go on.
If the impact is not that scary or it's something minimal, I think they should leave it for it to come into the system, because those are the cars that the prices are cool, that people can afford. But if it's highly damaged, because there are some cars it should be used for spare parts, but people try to bring it. That one, it should be out of the system. Because
which one would you describe as too much impact?
Oh, at times you can see it's heavily accidented.
How about the years, the number of years?
As for me in particular, I don't use year in buying cars. Because even outside, people buy old cars and they use it over there. Depending on the engine, how nice the car is, year doesn't count. Some people have about 10 cars. It's not all that they use. So those cars, when the year is gone, but its condition is permanent, you can't say that car shouldn't be in the system. Some people even want cars that are older. Okay. But depending on the condition of the state of the car.
A car which is about 10 years in abroad is almost like new. So the 10 years maximum is okay.
So that is on that score. How about the salvage vehicles?
If the impact is not too much, I think it's okay. Or even something like fender or doors or boot, I think that one is okay. The serious one. The serious which can affect the chassis. That one I myself are not agree. But something like the boot, the doors and the fender is okay. If it comes, you just remove them, then you fix it. And it comes new. So it's better than the serious accident.
You are saying that you are not in support of that. So I'm saying it means that importation of vehicles that are 10 years old and even older play a major role in your business, I suspect.
Yeah, that's 100%. Because a lot of Ghanaians don't have too much money to buy a car which is 5 years or 3 years old. But 10 years is always the price. It's a little bit cheap. The price is a little bit cheap. So for me, it must come.
So you mean the 10 years old and even older cars are the ones majority of Ghanaians are able to purchase? Is that what you are saying?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, 4 food vendors in Accra will have to answer in court why they could not produce the Accra Metropolitan Assembly's health certificate, which permits them to handle food meant for public consumption. The women who operate in a highly unhygienic area include a fishmonger who told the Joy Clean Ghana campaign team her certificate was with her dead son. Joy News' PSA Nane Asafo, who was at Chemwena with the team, brings you more in the following report.
The sound of fish sizzling in hot oil. That's fried fish in the making, popularly known as kinan in Ghana or chinam in Akan. It has a distinct taste. A made in Ghana special, it is savored with kenke, banku, and a host of popular extras. It's a fine addition to any meal. Unfortunately, as all foods here, a growing number of those making them or selling have taken hygiene for granted. The Joy Clean Ghana team visited Chimwena, a locale close to the Kole Lagoon, where a number of food vendors work. The water used to wash fish is an unhealthy red color, only bested by the swarm of flies patrolling the pan.
Yabaha 1, Yabaha 2. Second time I buy more as Mateo, it is some never Ninako good demuna mujane, Yankasa, and Yaba Betomo.
Environmental health officers from the AMA inquire for the old woman's health certificate. She replies, "It is with my son." Where, they ask. "He's dead," she retorts. When the team presses on, the vendor asks for mercy, saying the foods are not commercial, only for a funeral. The inspectors will have none of it. Yes,
I remember the last time we came here, the same number of people we saw here are the same numbers that are here frying the fish. So it's not for only household consumption. They do it for commercial, purposes here. So if you don't have it and you tell us I have it funeral for house, it's not here nor there. Okay, Mama.
4 of such vendors have been served notice to answer for their negligence in court.
On the spot, we are seeing like 4 or more. They've all escaped. So as of now, we will serve the letter according to the number we see here and others. When we put it there and others, whoever is part of it, and they fail to come, we know the time we will come and get all of them. We will not tell them. We'll come and pick them with a bench warrant if they fail to comply.
Meanwhile, Joy News and the AMA remain on the lookout as Ghanaians seek to enjoy more local flavors this Ghana month. Stay alive. Keep Ghana clean.
We're taking a break here on Joy News Prime, but still hiding the bulletin. Inter-party coalition against new voters register cites email correspondence, it says, challenges claims by the Electoral Commission about the voters' roll it is seeking to replace.
In a response to this email dated 2nd January 2020, Mr. Marcel Bogard of HSB Identification BV indicated as follows. 1. That the current BVRs are not obsolete.
And in business, Ghana finally begins cylinder recirculation module today.
We are very confident that before the close of this year, we should roll out across the country. And so that is what we are working towards.
Stay tuned in. We'll be back in a bit. Right, time for business now. Sandra is here. Hello, Sandra.
Yes, the National Cylinder Recirculation Module pilot stage has begun today in 4 districts. So we'll be hearing from the Deputy Energy Minister on the sustainability of this project.
All right, you take it away.
Okay. Celebrating 25 years of joy, my name is Sandra Esinam Appen. I'm here for business. The National Petroleum Authority, the NPA, has begun the cylinder recirculation module at Kede in the eastern region. The pilot phase of the project will be done in 4 districts. So far, 38,471 cylinders from 3 kg to 14.5 kg have been sent to these districts for recirculation. Deputy Minister of Energy Mohammed Amin Adam says there are currently negotiations with the Jubilee partners to produce more gas for the project. He spoke to Odilian Tiamwa.
We are very confident that before the close of this year, we should roll out across the country. And so that is what we are working towards. As much as possible, people should understand the model. And so it is important to give sufficient time for people to go through all the motions, people to experience it. As you saw, there were plenty of questions people were still asking. It means that although we have done so much awareness, we still need to do more. And it is through this pilot that people will get the practical understanding of this model. And so by the end of this year, you should see us rolling across the country. I mean, as you know, we used to import LPG, entirely. All the LPG consumed in Ghana came from outside. But since the Jubilee field started producing oil, we are able to process LPG from the gas liquids. And so for some time now, we have been doing between 30 to 40% of our domestic gas requirement, LPG requirement, from the Jubilee fields. Jubilee is currently exporting about 70 million standard cubic feet of gas from the field onshore. We have reached a certain understanding with them to increase gas production and gas export to around 125 million standard cubic feet of gas. So if you're moving from 70 to 125, it means that more liquids will come onshore, and therefore more LPG will be processed from the liquids. This should give us up to 60-70% of our domestic LPG requirement. When we do this, apart from security of supply of LPG, it will also give us relative stability in the price, because the Jubilee gas is free.
Stakeholders in agribusinesses have been charged to consider women as the engine of Ghana's agriculture sector, as 70% of the sector heavily depend on their output. Speaking at the launch of the Wafa and Gold in the Soil Awards, former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman says women in farming can change the face of Ghana's agri sector. That's more in the following report.
Former First Lady Nana Konadu Agyeman has challenged policyholders and stakeholders in the agribusiness value chain to prioritize women farmers when it comes to the offer of grants and capacity building. Speaking at the launch of the Wafa and Gold in the Soil Awards, which aims at transforming and sustaining women in agriculture, the former First Lady highlighted the economic benefits of women empowerment to agricultural development.
Tried to encourage and work for 30 years plus in various sectors towards the empowerment of women. But most importantly, it was imperative that Ghana would see to the total involvement of queen mothers in certain programs and women in general in other areas, as in agriculture, and agriculture in particular.
First Secretary at the Canadian High Commission, Marie-Claude Harvey, revealed the Canadian government is investing substantially in expanding and improving competition among women farmers.
Since 2017, Canada has been providing direct funding to the government of Ghana through a project that we call Modernizing Agriculture in Ghana. It is a program that is strongly aligned with the Investing for Food and Jobs strategy and all of the Planting for Food and Jobs and other platforms that the government is implementing.
Speaking to Joy Business, head of SME banking at ABSA Ghana, Audrey Abaka explained new moves by her outfit to provide more funding to female farmers and entrepreneurs.
Agriculture is a big piece. Equal employment opportunities and wealth creation is a big piece, and women actually play a very key role in these areas. And that's why, as a bank, ABSA Bank Ghana, we have chosen to associate with this laudable initiative.
In Ghana, majority of women are said to be engaged in agriculture as the main source of economic activity. Many of these women are the breadwinners for their families. Research has shown that women produce 80% of crops and own only about 1% of land.
The Minister for Economy, Investment and Small Businesses in Malta, Silvio Shimbri, has affirmed his country's commitment to investing in Ghana's aviation industry as it looks to improve bilateral relations between the two nations. This was disclosed when the Maltese envoy attending the Ghana-Malta Business Forum in Accra visited Aviation Minister Kofi Adda.
According to the Maltese Minister for Economy, Investment and Small Business, who leads a trade mission to the country, they are here to explore business opportunities in various sectors of the economy. He noted the aviation sector as a potential area for investment. Speaking after the meeting with the sector minister Kofi Adda, the Maltese Minister for Economy, Investment and Small Business said, beyond investments, they are also considering establishing a direct commercial flight between the two nations.
the better connectivity, this can facilitate things. And that is why we're discussing with the Minister of Aviation on the possibility to see what the investment there is needs to be done for this connectivity to be even strengthened. At the moment, we are being served from co-sharing agreements with other airlines to Ghana. The ideal situation would be to have a direct flight from Malta to Ghana. Obviously, this would depend on the agreement that we will continue to discuss even further with the Ministry of Aviation, because obviously this would require a certain amount of investment, and then we look forward to continue deep in these discussions to see the possibility of having this direct link.
Minister for Aviation Kofi Adda expressed commitment to tapping into the vast opportunities available to the aviation industry by Malta.
They're prepared to accept Ghanaians coming there to get exposure in terms of how they've been able to transit from the early days of trying to build the aviation sector to where they are today. Now they're doing the best, and from what they're saying. So we're looking to also learn from their experience, and so we're hoping to send a team there to understand what they've done so far and come back and see how we can replicate that here. And whatever areas that their business people identify that they can work with us on, whether it's the maintenance side, whether it's the training side or any other aspect of it, logistics management, we're opening all of that to them to come back here and see the Ghanaian partners that they can join with and try to develop the aviation sector.
Meanwhile, CEO of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, has disclosed that most of the agreements will be finalized by the second quarter of 2020. For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklo reporting.
That's all for business for now, but when I come back after 8 p.m., we'll be going to South Korea to see how Ghanaian businesses are being affected by the coronavirus.
Now, medical superintendent of the Ikwe Government Hospital in the Western Region is making a strong case against lives lost as a result of no-bed syndrome. Dr. Paul Cooper says hospitals grappling with lack of beds and turning away patients only leave them with no choice but to go home without getting the needed medical attention. He was speaking at the commissioning of the High Dependency Unit for the St. Martin de Porres Hospital. There's more in the following report.
Medical Superintendent of the Ikwe Government Hospital in the Western Region, Dr. Paul Cooper, says hospitals must adopt new innovative measures in dealing with the no-bed syndrome. He believes the lives of patients seeking urgent medical care should be the first and paramount. Dr. Paul Cooper, speaking when Meridian Logistics and Engineering Limited commissioned a high dependency unit for the St. Martin de Porres Hospital, said it becomes pathetic when they hear referred patients end up in their homes due to lack of resources. He would rather seek the consent of the patients to be treated on stretchers, chairs, and sometimes on the floor.
We have patients lying on the floor, but patients are grateful that we never turn them away. We never do that. That you come and we tell you we don't have a bed. If we tell you we have to nurse you on a stretcher for the next 24 hours before you find a bed, they willingly do so. It is very pathetic if we write a referral for a case which we even cannot do here, and find out that the patients do not have the resources to be cared for outside. So we don't take that risk. We do our best in-house.
Dr. Paul Cooper also noted that before the construction of the high dependency unit, patients were treated in wards irrespective of their conditions after surgical operations.
Formerly, if we operated patients and the patient needed care after the operation, the patient was forced to be brought to the ward, irrelevant of the condition, and we managed it on the wards, and this was not good. For standard guidelines, after you have done major operations, the patient should be brought to a proper recovery room, given oxygen, ventilated, and managed in such a way that the patient is stable, what we call stable, conscious, before you take the patient to the ward for normal care. This facility will be very good in assisting us in the fact that when we operate people, we can now bring them here to this particular room, take care of their needs until they are stable. Some may still be bleeding internally. Some vital signs may have gone wrong. And this is the place where we can first detect it, correct it, and we believe that it will save lives.
Head of projects at Meridian Logistics and Engineering, Ebenezer Quarry, says the company's topmost core value is safety, hence their move to complete the project.
In the year 2018, we realized the dire need of the dear people of this community for a high dependency unit. This became necessary and very imperative for us to act and provide a lasting solution to help satisfy this need. As a company, we dearly deem this as fitting to do, considering the fact that St. Martin de Porres Hospital here, proud today, was developed of a high dependency unit to manage critical conditions of patients who need urgent attention, but frequently have to travel long distances to the capital town of this region and even sometimes to other regions just to access urgent and high dependency unit healthcare. And moreover, considering the fact that there is frequent motor accidents in this domain, it is really fitting for us to act in this respect to take care of the accident victims for a speedy and great recovery. To emphasize on the significant benefits that this project will bring, it is good news to hear that many lives will be saved.
The unit would, among other things, help improve medical services at the hospital.
We're taking a break now, after which we'll bring you Showbiz. Stay tuned.
So quite coincidentally, I caught up with Miss Bell, and we had when McBrown outdoored her daughter, several blogs picked up the story, and I monitored that on one of the blogs she left a comment that the baby looks like McBrown's husband's.
But let's give
mother.
the history to Miss Bell.
Right.
How is Miss Bell related to McBrown?
Okay, so Miss Bell dated McBrown's daughter once upon a time.
McBrown's?
Not daughter, husband, once upon a time. So, when I caught up with her, we had a conversation around, her leaving that comment and that post. And she said it was simply harmless. And then, quite coincidentally, she, defended McBrown on this viral video. She said she sees nothing wrong with that video.
Saw the baby, she's so cute. And she looks so much like Max's mother. And I'm like, oh, wow, Auntie Julie photocopy. And then I shared my view, my opinion, and then it's a big deal. I got attacked. I'm like, what? Even to say somebody looks like someone is a big deal. Like, it's
what do you think made it a big deal?
I don't know why. I don't know, because people think that maybe we are rivals, but we are not. Or maybe we have a beef going on, we are not. But she really does look like the grandmother. Yeah.
And since she gave birth, have you reached out to her to say congratulations? And since you say you have no beef going on with her?
No, I haven't. And she's not the only one. There are so many celebrities who have babies that I have not reached out to, because maybe we are not like close. But if I meet Nanama right now, yeah, I'll go to her and say, wow, your baby is cute and blah, blah, blah. But no beef, and people are evil.
Still on her, recently, when she outdoored the child, there were concerns that a lot of people believed she's over-rejoicing. There was this particular video that...
There's nothing like over-rejoicing. Rejoicing is rejoicing. There's no limit to how you want to rejoice. You don't know what she went through and how she felt when her prayers were answered, or when her dreams came to pass. People do weird stuff. Like, look at the wedding between Kennedy and... look how exaggerated it was. Like, it was like... yeah. If you have it, you flaunt it. If you're happy and you want to do it, you do it. I don't think she over-rejoiced. There's nothing like over-rejoicing. How she felt is how she put out. I don't find anything wrong with it at all.
Let's imagine she's watching you. Give her your congratulations.
Congratulations, Anna Brown. Congratulations. Your baby is pretty. And you have a heart of gold. What she did, like putting up a building to give away, that that really touched me, and I wanted to comment on it. And then I saw the comment on the baby, and I'm like, let me just zip it. But it's amazing, and I really wish her well. I don't even have to, because everything she will do.
That's so kind of Ms. Hill,
yeah, very kind
very
of
kind
her.
of Ms.
I
Hill.
agree. I agree. So you remember Kofi Adjululu's viral video, viral interview with Ibrahim Ben Bako. So apparently the producer he was talking about was Ola Michael. And recently Ola came out to state that on Hits FM that he had paid the money and noted that, you know, Kofi Adjululu ranted like that under the influence of alcohol. And so IB was called into the studio to clarify or deny whether indeed he was, you know...
Because IB granted that interview.
Of course. And he came into the studio and said he wasn't reeking of alcohol, but he smelt alcohol on him.
Okay.
And so on Showbiz A to Z, they, you know, had Kofi Adjululu and they had him react to that story. And it was quite dramatic.
I have worked in the media for several years. There's nowhere I'll go. I have hosted functions, launches, trade fairs, and things like that. Companies, corporate events. MC, how do you expect that at this my age I'll be reeking alcohol?
That's what he said. So
no, he didn't say it.
No, you didn't say it.
It was Ola who said it. Every time when I was being interviewed, Ola was not there. So how could he know that? So yesterday I was on the Joy Prime. On a program, and then Abby was there. Okay. So we discussed this thing, and Abby said, they asked him, somebody asked him, he said, no, Kofi was not drinking alcohol.
No, Kofi,
please.
Kwame, I listened to Hits FM, I think it was on Thursday or Friday, when this matter came out.
What the hell?
And what actually happened,
lies.
Ola put the matter across, that Kofi was drunk. So IB was called into the studio. And this question to IB was Kofi reeking of alcohol? And IB said, no, he was not reeking of alcohol. And then the follow-up was, did you smell any alcohol? And IB said, yes, I smelled alcohol.
Oh, that's nonsense.
So that is where Kwame is getting his thing.
Me, I had gotten out of my house, well dressed up, to come and launch somebody to you said reeking of alcohol?
So just to clarify again, right before I came on set, I called Ivy and I said, did you smell alcohol on him or not? He says, I smelled alcohol on him. So Kofi Adjululu, he smelled alcohol.
Okay, smelled alcohol, reeking of alcohol.
He wasn't reeking of alcohol, but he smelled alcohol on him. So maybe it could have been from the
fumes,
previous...
The fumes...
I don't know about that.
Poured over him.
I don't know.
Okay. Thank you very much, Enuela, for bringing us Showbiz Up. The Coalition Against the New Voters Register has made public an email correspondence between it and what it claims is the manufacturer of the biometric registration kits, contradicting the EC's claim that the current biometric kits are obsolete and not fit for the conduct of the upcoming December 17 polls. The manufacturers admitted in the email that even though facial recognition is not part of the current registration software, the kits can be upgraded, insisting the cost of the upgrade will be cheaper than replacing the kit. The coalition observed that evidence available confirms their stance that the current register is fit for the conduct of the December 7 polls. Here is the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Etiedun-Ketia, at a news conference Tuesday.
On the 1st of January 2020, we sent an email to HSB Identification BV of Holland, the manufacturers of the current BVR equipment, seeking information on whether or not the BVR equipment they supplied Ghana are obsolete, and whether or not the current BVRs can be upgraded or upgraded to include facial recognition. In a response to this email dated 2nd January 2020, Mr. Marcel Bogard of HSB Identification BV indicated as follows. 1, that the current BVRs are not obsolete. 2, although the notebooks, computer operating systems and software of the current BVRs need to be upgraded Components like the fingerprint scanners were very robust and fit for use. 3, the enrollment software could easily be upgraded with facial recognition, a feature which has been incorporated in their new software release. 4, that the cost of upgrading the current BVR equipment with new functionalities will be far cheaper than replacing them with new equipment. Then 5, HSB Identification BV is willing to assist the Electoral Commission carry out these upgrades upon request. Here it is abundantly clear that in trying to declare equipment obsolete without talking to the manufacturer, you have come to lie to Ghanaians that this equipment is obsolete, and that is the basis upon which you are going to act to replace them. So that one, no due diligence. Even a class 1 law student can tell you that there's a problem there.
Chief Executive Officer of Gold Dealership, Menzgold, Nana Mensah, and customers of the firm are yet to reach a settlement weeks after representatives of the company told the Medina Circuit Court to discontinue the case against the over 90 customers who were arrested for picketing at his residence. The settlement would see the state dropping the charges against the customers. Lawyers of the aggrieved customers, however, say not all elements in the terms of settlement have been finalized. Henry Kwesibedu sat through court proceedings and has more in the following report.
The customers were arrested in January and later charged with unlawful entry, offensive conduct, and a breach of the Public Order Act after they forcibly entered the Trasaco residence to confront CEO Nana Appiah Mensah over their locked-up investment. Public Relations Officer of Menzgold, Ni Ama Amatefio, who represented Nana Appiah Mensah during the last sitting in February, revealed the main complainant, Nam1, was no longer interested in the case and wanted it discontinued. This meant both parties have to file an agreed terms of settlement before the case is taken out of court. Counsel for the picketing Menzgold customers, Samuel Atukwe, says though there has been significant progress, there is still some more work to be done.
We generally, all of us in agreement, told the court that it appears that some agreements are being arrived at, and therefore we wish to have some time to file terms of settlement. And so the court obliged us. And so the business of today is to file the terms of settlement and also to submit the written letter the court requested from Nana Appiah Mensah. The letter is ready and the letter has been submitted to the court. But then the terms of settlement have not been filed today. We are quite there. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to agree on all the draft provisions. And so it's just proper that we seek for more time so that we can extensively discuss between parties and agree, and then subsequently file for the court to adopt. And so the court again obliged and has adjourned the matter.
All 92 accused persons were present in court today. The coalition of aggrieved customers of Menzgold, despite the attempt to settle the matter, the customers will continue to push for their locked-up funds to be paid in full.
Yes, we are, per the explanation from our lawyers. I think they are in discussion with Nam1 and his team, and the way things are going, we think it's in the right direction, and we need to exercise patience for the 12th of March to have this case withdrawn from the court. We are not going to relent. We will keep fighting Even if it's more than 10 years, we will keep fighting. This group will keep discussing issues of Menzgold, even if it's 10 years. And they will keep having common interests till we have our monies. It's either MPP or it's neither NDC, we will still fight for our monies. So that is what we are doing. And we are not giving up soon, anytime soon. We are going to ensure that we keep these fights live till we get our money. And number one will never have his peace till we have our money. We are going to make sure wherever he passes, wherever he tries to come up with any business, he will not succeed until we have our money.
The court, presided over by His Lordship Richard Delali Anku, heard the plea of the parties and adjourned the case to March 12, 2020 to enable them finalize the terms of settlement. Henry Kwesibedu's report for Joy News.
So the Kaneshie District Court has committed 10 persons to stand trial at the High Court. This was after state prosecutors had given the court a summary of the state's case against them and an overview of the evidence it intends to use against them. Some of the persons are accused of plotting to overthrow government and are said to have held discussions on whether or not to kill the president once their plot succeeds. Court correspondent Joseph Akaple has the rest of the story.
Senior State Attorney Hilda Craig spent hours detailing the evidence the state has against the accused persons. This includes explosives, locally manufactured weapons which form part of 113 exhibits to be relied upon. She said 19 witnesses will be called by the state to testify in the course of the trial. She said the accused persons plan to acquire electronic equipment solely for the purpose of jamming the National Communication Authority system to render all broadcasting stations except the state broadcaster useless. They also wanted to capture key public officials, including the Vice President, Speaker of Parliament, and Chief of Defence Staff. She urged the court to commit them to stand trial at the High Court. The accused persons were then offered an opportunity to address the court. They dismissed the allegations leveled against them. Senior military officer Colonel Kojo Gameli said he is being prosecuted because of what he knows about the wrong things taking place in the armed forces. Senior police officer ACP Gojo, while denying the allegations against him, raised concerns about the fact that the case has so far been handled by an ASP, his junior in the police force. Magistrate Eliano Boche commented that the case against him is a crime against the state, and so it doesn't matter who is assigned to handle the matter. She then ruled that the accused persons appear to stand trial at the High Court.
We are watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We'll be back in a bit.
Celebrating 25 years of joy.
To our audience,
the chiefs and people of Ghana, we say Barka.
Before I bring you business, least degraded Galamsey lands will take over 20 years to restore soil fertility. The Forest Research Institute of Ghana says it will take that long because of illegal mining. Senior research scientist Akwesi Edujemfi says they are deposits of heavy metals in soils of land destroyed in mining areas. He spoke on Love in the Morning on Love Affair, monitored by Nanaya Aljuma.
Mr. Edujemfi shares some findings from his work in illegal mining areas.
We picked soil samples from degraded mined areas at BBN and Atiwa, and we realized that those soils were contaminated with heavy metals like arsenic, cadmium, lead, mercury, and nickel, at least from our own research.
And what's the level of contamination?
Well, the level was ranging between, let me say, 1 and 15 megagram per kilogram. In other areas where it is heavily contaminated, you could get values over 1,000. But these ones were very low, between 3-15 megagram per kilogram.
Already, farmers around Etiwa are feeling the pinch of negative effect of contamination as cassava will not grow properly in such soil. Mr. Edujemfi says trees to absorb the metals can be locally sourced for the project.
We were doing soil sampling, and then in our conversation with some of the farmers there, they attested to the fact that previously those lands were producing cassava, planted with cassava. But these days, there aren't cassavas on those lands. And even those portions that you're able to harvest cassava, when you boil the cassava, it's very, very hard. You cannot consume it. And that is a result of the soil losing its fertility. And so the land is not productive enough to yield enough production. Previously, you would want to plant some of the nitrogen-fixing plants, such as Leucaena leucosifolia. And then from our recent research, where we use some of our indigenous species, I mentioned that, in fact, from our preliminary results, we found that fast-growing species like Terminalia superba, Nuclear Dideroca Melissa excelsa had very good potential for absorbing cadmium and lead and other metals.
Experts warn of imminent food security challenges if steps are not taken to decisively deal with the situation. Meanwhile, the Building and Road Research Institute has made 3 proposals to government in the last 6 years on the subject. Daniel Asensu Jembibi is director.
You know, we are the Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, so if you want to take anything to government, it goes through our head office, that is the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, then it goes to the ministry, then that is where policy is supposed to take effect. But what it entailed was to get an area and tell policymakers that, look, this is the extent of degradation. This is what we are seeing, and these are the things that we want to do. Fill up the land, plant the trees, take out the heavy metals, so that at least whilst we are doing, this is about, it's been 2-3 proposals lasting about 6 years. So
6 years, you've written about 3 proposals.
Yes.
And in all the proposals you've written, nothing has come out of it.
Nothing,
you haven't heard anything.
We haven't heard anything, but we know that certain things are going on that we see in our proposal. And for us, it's not a big deal if our proposal is being implemented, even without our. The important thing as scientists, we have to solve problems. It's not about us getting the resources to do it. So you go to Takwa, you find a few of those things, but if the implement or the originators of the proposals are involved, that would be good for us.
For Joy News, Nana Ojima reporting.
Police have arrested 3 Chinese men after a joint operation by the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry and the Ghana Police Service to flush out illegal operators at quarry sites on a state land which stretches from Aviation to Doinya. The Minister Coup, who led the team, served notice to people whose properties are illegally sited on the lands designated for an industrial enclave. It will be demolished. Masula Gogba has more.
Under the process. You submit under process, yes, and I'm saying they've not given you the permit.
One of the 3 Chinese men arrested is a manager at Skyline Quarry Limited. The minister says they had been operating for the past 3 years without an operational permit. Some of the workers escaped from the site when they saw the minister and a team of policemen.
The arrest is in the sense that they don't have operating permit. They don't have permit to deal with explosives. The essence of having a permit before you deal with explosives is that explosives are quite deadly. And before you do any blasting at any mining site, there is the need for you to do some notification to people around, and you set out a particular date for this blasting and all that. And all this go into explosives. And they don't have explosives permit, and this is the work they are doing. They do blasting. They don't have permit, and yes, that is permit to allow them, operating permit, allowing them to operate. That is why I have caused the arrest. They are saying that they have a license, and the document they are holding comes from Minerals Commission. So I'm going to find out whether indeed a license had been issued to them. If the license had been issued to them, then these 2 things have not been done.
On the same land, unauthorized buildings are springing up. The team discovered some private estate developers are responsible for these structures. The minister, Coup says the structures will be demolished.
The executive instrument has been gazetted. It means that notice has been given to the general public. So whoever acquires a parcel of this 13,200 has done so at his or her own peril. Government land. A day will come that will come back here to have all such structures developed on the land demolished because they have not properly acquired same from the Lands Commission. Government acquired this big stretch of land for purposes of establishing industries, either government's own or government granting same to third parties to establish it and pay some taxes to government. You know, this government preached one district, one factory, and this is a bigger land for all this. It is not that the Lands Commission has sat idle watching people to do this. It takes a lot of effort, a lot of security officers to come down, a lot of lands officers to come down, and that is all money. We have been coming here day in, day out, and even in the night to see to it that this development will not happen. But you could imagine, at the extreme left, you see a class of people over there. And if you are only 2-3 people, you see that they will not spare you. That's why we move in convoy with the police officers, the security personnel to assist us.
The Minister for Fisheries has been caught on tape encouraging an illegal fisheries practice. Elizabeth Afolekwe, at a function visibly, encouraged the fisher folk to continue cycle because the MPP government does not intend to stop it. Cycle allows industrial trawlers to effectively steal the fish from small-scale fishers before selling them back to local communities at a profit. Listen to Madam Afolekwe.
Na Mr. Wande, fisheries in Sensamno or Dorsu Bebre. Na Yabo Yahumodi, there, you better to Nina, you better to Afaria Jumano in Sensamno, na Waye. Yes, sir. Why a cycle? Why a dream be our friend?
There are lots of issues in the fisheries sector. We are doing our best to resolve them. There is a practice in this town called cycle. It is not the intention of the MPP to spoil the ongoing business. There are rumors that the Fisheries Ministry has banned cycle, but it's untrue. What the minister is saying is that the Chinese take the bigger fishes to their country and leave us with fingerlings. We deliberated on it a lot in a meeting yesterday.
Now wait, no one can take it on my end. Into yes, on there. Hey, I want country get a full Ghana Industrial Trawlers Association for that. Once you are paid, no man can send it. Now, young can there one day cycle. Yes, 1 year, now 1 year.
President Akufo-Addo is ready to do a London site. He will cut salt for the site by the end of the year for work to commence.
Another London site, fishing harbour. Nana, Obisa there. As to His Excellency President, why ready to operate a landing site now? Or you no papa, His Excellency Nana Dodampo Akufo-Addo. Why you wait to my baby? Now America say, Uncle, Afine Yuen, Nana Dodampo Akufo-Addo, His Excellency, Obaba Ha, Wabeka Salt. Now, yes, landing sites. Sure.
There are not enough premix for. There is an issue at Tema Oil Refinery. We are looking to resolve them soon.
Tema Oil Refinery. Now,
Now, Kofi Agboga, who is also a member of the technical team that advises the Ministry on Fisheries Matters, has condemned the minister's utterance. Mr. Agboga said the Fisheries Minister, Elizabeth Afolekwe, goofed in that video. He spoke on affront with Kojo Yangsing.
That was a big slip. She shouldn't have said that. She knows very well that psycho fishing is illegal. Something that is illegal, whether you do it well or you don't do it well, it is illegal. just like an armed robber telling him that he should go and do his armed robbery well, and you support, or not to do it well. I find a lot of contradictions in what she said. Perhaps she didn't mean to say so if she really looked at the law again before she went out there to speak. It sent out wrong signals to people in the industry. Section 132 is very, very clear. If you look at Section 139, it gives the minister the power to make regulations. And the regulations that the minister or the ministry made outlaws cycle. But the bottom line, like you said, if you have to transship fish, it has to be authorized. There has to be a written consent from the commission to say that, yes, go ahead. And it has to be supervised. So whether they are doing it well at sea or not doing it well at sea, for me, it is illegal. And, I mean, there has to be a way of stopping it. If the political people don't understand what the law says very well, but perhaps they are very new in the system, we are always available to offer advice on what the position of the law relative to the fisheries.
You probably can hum along when you hear the tunes, but how well can you correctly sing a song in your local dialect? In our Ghana Man series today, we give the microphone to some staff in the newsroom, and here's what we got.
Chio avajaja, aomo avatu, kake simele kwelaji, nyema vona dekewo.
Mena meho wa lote, nyeke blofu me yeteni. Mena me baho wa lo cha, shino kumba cha. Nyeheria wo cha omanye aba
ebe sisirimum taburumum ai sisirimum taburumum iya zawaya amase iya zawaya awe kita taburum fango wechiro asisirimum taburumum
Fufajo ajare unya ele rusi klemia nale nuwa mareka makonesio eyodo dona oke egba pasasa ogudugudu yata mikafu maude tae yesu edo jore joya udu mareka matengochu.
All right, I'm sure you want to hear mine. Which one should I sing? Which one should I sing? Jotinkala, Jotinkala, Jotinkala.
All right, so let's do more business. My name is Sandra Esinam Apeno. The deadly coronavirus is taking the world by storm globally. Over 92,213 cases have been confirmed, with about 3,131 deaths recorded worldwide. Financial markets are tumbling, and the impact on the global economy is huge. The local market here in Ghana is equally not left out, as goods from China and Asian region are stuck. We will be speaking to a Ghanaian resident in South Korea whose business has come to a halt. But first, take a look at what you have on the screens. And in South Korea, we have the COVID-19 cases in South Korea. Confirmed cases so far is 5,186. And there are 31 deaths so far. And the most affected city is Daegu. And we'll be going to Daegu right now to speak to a Ghanaian resident there about how they are impacted by the coronavirus. All right, so joining me on via Skype is actually a Ghanaian resident, I said earlier on, in South Korea, and he's Richard Larry. And he is actually a foreign trade, and he joins me via Skype. First of all, thank you so much, Richard, for making time for me. I know it's quite early there, and so we're grateful for joining us today. First of all, tell us how you're doing and how the business community is faring, because you are actually in Daegu. Am I right, Daegu? and is the most endemic.
Yes, I'm very good.
Yeah, the most endemic area in South Korea. So first of all, we want to know whether you're safe and how the business community is faring.
Okay, thank you very much for and good morning from out there to your viewers and all Ghanaians. Yeah, actually, I'm doing very fine, and it's around 6 a.m. in the morning. I'm not out yet, so one, no mask, no gloves, and very safe in my room. Yeah.
So I was also asking about how the business community in South Korea is faring. I know schools are closed, businesses and shops are all locked. And so how are you coping as a businessman in South Korea?
Actually, business has been affected hugely because back home in Ghana, we get lots of orders, people who want to buy used cars, spare parts, and other foreign products. But since the outbreak of the coronavirus, everything is on a halt, and even those who kind of send money for goods and cars, we have to be on the hold. The freight forwarders, all the foreign companies are on break, so you cannot load a container and you cannot process a purchase order by the Ghanaian, businessman. Yeah. So all is on the hold and nothing is going on. We're waiting until things go down. Purchasing.
The world is taken by storm with this whole coronavirus issue. And up until now, when the outbreak came, give us a feel of how your business was like. And specifically, you said you went into cars and then other hardware importation. And so between the time the outbreak and the first case was recorded in South Korea, have you been able to ship anything down to Ghana?
This whole thing started during the Lunar New Year holidays. Here in South Korea, they have this Lunar New Year holiday, which is a big issue. So it's like businesses were on break because of that holiday. Then right at the end of the holiday, this outbreak happened. So previously, before the outbreak of the virus, we used to have weekly orders. So every week we load about 1 or 2 containers in a week. But since the outbreak, it's zero.
And so obviously
So
your business has been grounded. You can do business now. But I mean, I know efforts are being made to contain the situation, to reduce the spread of the virus. Where you are in South Korea, do you see efforts being made towards, trying to mitigate the issue? And if you wish, because you can't go out, you're locked up in your rooms and all that, or you're thinking of coming down to Ghana?
Well, Ghana would not really be a very good option because it's like you having the best of facilities in Korea, and the current government has been very, very strict in containing the situation. So, as I speak with you today, over 46,000 people have been tested. And out of these 46,000 people, we have about 5,186 been declared positive. So if we take Ghana as an option, like we have this outbreak, we may end up worsening the case. You understand? So staying here and make sure that we go through the measures in place, like kind of sanitizing and disinfecting yourself, and then waiting on the authorities to continue the task until maybe April, May, June, thereabout, business will pick up again. Yeah, coming to Ghana wouldn't year. We just have to be more patient, wait on the government. They are so capable, they have all the and they've been so swift in controlling the situation. So we're hopeful surely
And so,
things will
yes,
come back to normal.
I know it's a difficult situation for a businessman like you, but I want to ask, before we find a solution to this whole problem, what's your plan B as a businessman?
Well, we look to doubling our sales to Ghana, and when we sell to Ghana, we sell to Jordan, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Cambodia. And we will not only be affected by Ghanaian buyers, but also buyers from the other parts of Asia and Middle East. Everything is on hold. So once the virus situation goes down, there'll be lots of pressure. So, for example, if you're to process containers, everybody will question you to kind of do DS fast, and get results from them. So there'll be much pressure after that. So, well, like we say in the Ghana language, so like when the pressure comes, try hard. We save them all.
Right.
Yeah. Nothing to go. Yeah.
Okay, we can only wish you all the best in South Korea. And thanks so much once again for staying up for us for this conversation, how the situation is actually in South Korea. Richard Zinleri is a Ghanaian resident in South Korea, and he joins Advice Skype. In other news tonight, we want to take a look at a compilation of some headline stories in the local scene.
For 10 new airports, airstrips and helipads are expected to commence in earnest this year. The studies will cover proposed Takoradi Airport and Upper East Airport, development of airstrips and helipads at Mole, Yendi, Kitekwache, Takwa, Obuase, Koforidua, West Central and Chebi. The total cost for the feasibility studies to be undertaken by the Aviation Ministry for the 10 aerodromes and 7 other projects is 24.7 million Ghana cedis. The report of the Committee on Roads and Transport on the annual budget estimate of the Ministry of Aviation for 2020 financial year has revealed. Ghana's high average grid electricity tariff threatens the country's competitiveness as an investment destination on the continent, the 2019 Ghana Energy Outlook has revealed. Currently, the country's tariff is about twice that of South Africa, China and India, where most imports to Ghana originate. Most heavy or base metal industries, including the underground gold mines, would require on the average tariff less than 6 US cents per kilowatt hour to stay competitive with similar products imported.
Now, crude oil sold today at $52.47 a barrel after a 0.57 gain. There's more in the commodity news. And before I go, let me remind you that the Multimedia Group is celebrating 25 years of joy. Thanks so much for being part of our joy story. But you can log on to our website, myjoyonline.com/business for more business news. My name is Sandra Esinam Afenu. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you for staying with us on Joy News Prime. I'm Gary Al Smith, and this is The Sport. On his return from the European tour to scout eligible national team players, Black Stars head coach Siki Akono has named a 23-man squad to face Sudan in the upcoming AFCON qualifying matches. He says his trip was fruitful as he did not just go there to watch matches, but also to build chemistry with the players and also make them aware of his plans.
I have been with the team first as an ambassador, as a scout, and as an assistant, and I have a fair idea of what is going on with us. And so most of our discussion was off-the-field issues. It's also important for me to have a good chemistry with them, so I did not just go there to watch football matches, also to have a good chemistry. I come with a character that is clear, and it's important that I make them aware of it, even though they might know. And so we had enough discussion, which I think was fruitful. After them, there was a need for me to look at the born European players, which I did. Some of them are eager to come and play. Some of them are not sure because of probably cultural reasons. And so I made it important to them to know that we're looking forward to them. And I must say that if we're able to get those guys, there are names, I think 6 of them. If we're able to get them, the face of our game or the national team will change. It will bring a lot of competition in the team. And so in order to make it short, it went well. I was very happy to have done that. Most of them I saw them play.
And Hearts of Oak goalkeeper Richard Atta, defenders Kojo Amwako and Habib Mohammed of Ashgold and Asante Kotoko respectively, and 32-year-old Fordia Mohammed, who plays for Adriana Stars, are the 4 locally based players in the squad. And CK says the local players in general lack consistency in performance, but that number can improve in future if they also continue to improve.
I was once a local coach, and I can confidently tell you that the performance, they are not able to perform 4 times in a row. It's a problem. I don't want to go deep about it. They are not able to do that. You see a player performing very, very well, the next week is semi, then the 3rd match he drops. And I'm saying this is a situation where it goes to all of us. We should try as much as we can to help them. So these are things they have to do to up their game. If you are consistent with your performance, then you talk of a player who is scoring. Where is he scoring? He's only scoring in his home matches. It's not right. If he goes away and he's scoring, it makes him a better player. You understand me? And so these are the things I'm talking about. We should encourage them, one, so that they will also be motivated, play well, so that the gap between, in the previous months here, we rely too much on locals. We want too much on locals, and we want to now is 4. If they keep on improving, there will be opportunity for us to. Now they come to camp. They shouldn't come to camp and just be part of the team. They come with the idea of also playing coming to the first 11, and that is what I'm talking about. And so, don't take it in a negative way. Yeah.
Let's look at the squad now. For the goalkeepers, we did have Richard Atta of Hearts of Oak coming in with a debut call-up. Razak Abalora, who previously used to play here in Ghana, is in Tanzania now. And Richard Ofori, the #1 goalkeeper of the Black Stars at the moment. Kojo Amwako plays for Ashgold, Andy Yadom for Reading in England, Gideon Mensah, one of the best fullbacks we have right now, plays in Belgium. And then we also have Nicolas Opoku of Amiens in France, Joseph Edi of Celta Vigo in Spain, Kasim Nuhu of Dusseldorf in Germany, Habib Mohammed of Asante Kotoko, Mubarak Wakaso plays in China now for Jiangsu Suning, Afredanka is in Fiorentina in Italy, Baba Idrisu, also a legacy of Chrisia Pierre's final games, plays for Mallorca in Spain, Thomas Partey for Atleti, Mo Kudus plays for Nordsjælland in Denmark. The wingers, Christopher Enchi also got a call-up and actually played against Sao Tome, one of Chrisia Pierre's last call-ups. Tariq Fosu plays for Brentford in England, Samuel Owusu was at the AFCON, now plays in Saudi Arabia, and the captain of the side, Andre Ayew, plays for Swansea. Jordan Ayew is a call-up that won't surprise anybody. Richmond Boachi Adam, Eugene Ansah is a new name, plays for Hapoel Ranana in Israel, and Yahya Mohammed is rewarded for 10 goals in the Ghana Premier League in 12 games and plays for Adriana Stars. Moving on, one player who was not called up is Jonathan Mensah, and Siki Akono spoke about him. He says that their time will come even though they are doing well. And he's in the news, says he's proud to be the first African-born player to captain his club, the Columbus Crew.
I was a bit surprised because, even though I captained the team for some games during last season and throughout preseason as well, I was the captain. So, preseason and stepping in while the captain wasn't around was okay. But knowing that I was the captain now was, something huge for me and a big surprise as well. Being one of the experienced guys on the team, I've been with this club. This is my 4th season. They really look up to me, and that's a big responsibility on its own. And now me having the armband as one of the leaders of the team, big responsibility. So I just need to be always leading by action, and make sure that I'm always willing to be educated and educate others as well if needed. I want to just do my best for this team. I want to make sure that whenever the name Jonathan Mensah comes up, it's on the positive side, because I just came here to work, and that's what I'm doing, trying to doing my best to inspire and encourage the young ones.
Jonathan Mensah speaking there, ending the sports on the news. Thank you for your time. I'm Gary Al Smith, but we've got a feature on Richard Atta that will air on Fan Zone at 10:30. His story from playing at Elmina Sharks to Hearts of Oak and now being a Black Star. He also actually predicted when he signed for Hearts that he'll be called up into the Black Stars, and today he's got it. That will be later from 10:30. Join us.
All right, time for Joy News Interactive, and let's get onto a Facebook page and get to see what you have been saying about some of the stuff we've posted. Airbus scandal. There will be a prosecution when there will be prosecution when the full facts unravel. Deputy Attorney General and Minister for Justice, and that's one of the big stories for today. Let's get to check out some of the comments. It's had 141 comments and 23 shares. Kwesi says, there is a saying, if your friend is a monkey, there is no way your stick will lock on tree. The excavators and tricycle issues that one is involved with MPP members. Okay. Kobe says, prosecution my foot. Lawe says, if truly what AG is saying is the truth, why can't they prosecute my president in waiting? Alaji says, useless and baseless allegations. Multimedia should get serious in this country. They should remember that power will soon change hands, and we're going to see how they choose to air programs. Okay, I don't know where multimedia comes in here. Kwame says, is this guy a lawyer? You can be a deputy minister and still be ignorant in common sense. Hadi says, because there was a news conference by the Interparty against the new voters register, you guys brought this up to divert attention. It wouldn't work. We're focused. Belko says, for me, this is bogus. Nana himself should admit himself for investigation. You cannot ignore the numerous scandals about you and go ahead and prosecute your opponent. What about the PDS scandal, the American scandal? Yantechi mentioned your name without missing. Okay, let's move on and get to read some more comments. Deron says, Nana, during his State of the Nation presentation, said, if evidence of corruption is found, yet investigations have been concluded, and said government officials have already been judged by MPP fanatics. In the interview this afternoon, this AG mentioned JM's name as government official one, and even said he isn't cooperating, not knowing he hasn't even invited him for questioning. JM's silence means no cooperation to him. He says he knows government official one, but they have written to the SFO for the identities of the named government officials. Isn't it comical? Moses says, we are tired of this. Let them go for whoever they think is government official one in their cohort. We don't care. Jason says, so you don't have the full facts, yet you're accusing people. Very useless government, you say. Augustine says, what a lazy minister. You think JM has your time? If you have the evidence, why can't you prosecute him and stop the noise? Listen to him on Joy News this afternoon. He is scared to mention the name John Mahama. All right, you can also go there and add to the comments. Let's move on to the other story, which has to do with celebration of Ghana Month. And some of my colleagues in the newsroom have actually been singing the songs. They're folk songs. Okay, let's get to see the comments. That's Emmanuel Ante. He's in the newsroom. He's singing Egnas. Let's listen to what he's singing.
Oh, avajaja, aomu avatu, kake simele kwelaji, nyema vona dekewo,
Mena me ho wa lote. Nyeke blofu me yeteni. Mena me ba ho wa lo cha. Shino kumba cha. Nyeheria wo cha. Omanye aba.
Ebe sisirimum, taburumum, I sisirimum, taburumum, iya zawaya. Mase, iya zawaya. Awekita taburum fango wechiro, asisirimum, taburumum.
Fujo ajare unya, ele rusi klemya, nale nuwa mareke makonesio, eyodo dona oke. Egba pasasa ogudugudu yata mikafu maude tae Yesu edo jore joya udu amareke matengochu.
All right, and on Facebook, it appears that that last singer appears to be getting quite a number of comments. So Emily says, our songs, the best. Fat says, my ever brother be that. Ilyasu says, I really love the last person's song, and ever the best. Yeah, Mohammed, I think it's just perfect. Oh, and you didn't watch mine? I did mine too. It was live. You know. All right, but thank you very much for watching. This is Joy News Prime. My name is Israelai. You have a good night.